Hi everybody. In this video I'm going to go over another dividend resource. It's a free website. It has a lot of screeners, a lot of tools that you could use to track your dividends, also recommendations on possible dividends, companies that you like. Let's get to it. Remember to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. All right everybody, so the website that I want to go over is Digrin.com. It stands for DI Dividend, GR Growth, I in Investing. It has a very interesting options in if you have a current portfolio, what your dividends will be and upcoming dividends. It also has very good stock screeners. So first, let's look at stock screener. You could filter between challengers, contenders, and champions. Those are a certain amount of years that they've been increasing their dividend. You can look at dividend yield. So let's say I want at least a 3% yield. So 5%. I could do payout ratio. That's how much they're paying on dividends. 75% I think is a pretty reasonable number. Once it gets past that, then they're paying out too much in my recommendation. DGR3 is the last 3-year growth rate. I want at least a 5% growth rate. And DGI5, last 5 years, I want at least 5% growth rate. You could check the influence, essentially what list is going to make higher or lower. So obviously my yield's important. You can make it a 5. And then when you do filter, it's going to show you different stocks that might work. What you can do is just click on one. Let's look at STLD. I don't even know anything about this one yet. Steel Dynamics, okay. They're paying 3.6%. The average growth rate is almost 20% in the last 3 years. This shows the dividend payout from 2006 all the way to now, like that good steep curve that's going to keep increasing over time. If it's been increasing since 2006, it's a very good chance it's going to continue growing into the future. This is the last 3 years. What I find interesting here is it takes the dividend increase the last 3 years, and then it shows the growth rate if it continues this dividend growth as it did in the past. So 2009, this paid 96 cents a share. You hold it 10 more years, it's going to be $3.76. Again, that's if they continue the dividend growth rate that they are been doing the last 3 years. If it has 5 or 10 years, like if the stock's been doing that, then I'll show you the 5, show you the 10. So I think good guesses, good estimations of what it might be. Also, it says assuming annual growth rate of 10.81%, which the last 10 years it did, your dividends will double every 6.7 years. So right now the current rate's 3.82. You keep those shares all the way to 2030, the yield on cost will be 10.67. That's what dividend growth works, right? You can do a watch list. So Steel Dynamics looks like a pretty good stock to me. You go to Watcher. I've added a few already. You can watch a new stock. Let me type that one in. And dividend yield was currently at 3.6. So let's say I'm looking for around a 4% yield. If I click watch the stock at 4, it's going to tell me and notify me whenever this yield actually hits the desired yield. So if the stock actually goes down in price, or if they raise their dividend and the share price doesn't increase, they'll actually notify you via email that this could be a company. So you could do current yield at a certain rate and make the desired yield slightly higher. If you really want the stock, they'll notify you pretty quickly if they change the dividend, or if the stock price goes down in about a week or two. Or you can make the desired yield a lot higher if you want a pretty big jump in those. Ex-dividend will give you a list of all of the different companies. There's a large amount here. They'll show when they are going ex-dividend. So for instance, if I was looking into Texas Instruments, it says on July 30th, it's going to pay out 90 cents per share. So you then click on the link, it'll show you the same information as before. So if I was interested in Texas Instruments, I know to buy the shares before the ex-dividend date or until July 29th, and then I'll capture that first dividend payment. Start with that early passive income. It does have stock lists. David Fish list was looking at companies with 25 or more years of dividends that are dividend champions. And here's a list of the champions. Notice that most of these, the yields are a little bit lower because they're more established companies. Dividend growth rates are more stable though. Those are the contenders, 10 to 24 years, and the challengers, 5 to 9 years. I like to have at least 5 years, ideally more like 10 years, so I've been looking more at the contender list. So you can see different options. AVGO is one of my companies that I own, 3.75 yield, 60% growth rate. So obviously, I want the share price to go up, but I'm more interested in this dividend growing over time. And the last one that I find is the most useful, go to portfolios, and you could add a new portfolio. I already put in my portfolio. You can enter in all your stocks. It'll tell you the number of shares, current price of the shares, your cost basis. You just multiply those two numbers. Current value would be in the future, let's say a year from now, these current values will be different because the share price could be different and the number of shares could be different. You're reinvesting it. Yield on costs, that should change over time. And then the average dividend growth rates. You could also set on drip. It'll automatically drip that means reinvest the shares into more shares of the company. And so I find it very useful because I'm doing that with all my companies as well. So for instance, when SLYV pays a dividend, I'm going to get a certain amount of dividend money back. It's going to take it into the current price and then buy a few more shares of that particular company. This website will automatically track that and update it. Dividend calendar will show when you get paid in your dividends. Estimated dividends are all based on what the current yield is. If there's any new news, it'll update it automatically. Upcoming dividends have already been declared. So Main Street Capital, I will be getting 3801. The board of directors already announced it. He announced 20.5 cents a share times the number of shares I have, 3801. So all these have already been declared. That means I will be receiving them. And then blue dividends will be, again, estimated. They're not looking at the dividend growth of these. So if you look at, say, AVGO, remember I had a 60% growth. It's not showing that in December payment yet because they didn't announce it. So these will be a little bit different, but it's good to see where my dividends are coming from. As you can see in September, I should be getting about $413 in dividends. That's a pretty good month there. Upcoming dividends will show the companies that I own and how much I'll actually be receiving. All right, these are per share. So multiply by the number of shares, you get your dividend price. It looks at diversification, what sectors. It wasn't very good on this one because I have quite a few ETFs, like SLIV small cap value, which shows the percents here. The sector is a little off there because of my ETFs, but if you own individual companies and you don't own ETFs, they will show the sectors very accurately here and the industry as well. Suggestions, this is mostly based on dividend growth. It doesn't like VEA because the yield's kind of low. This yield's probably not going to stay that way, but the last quarter international yields were much lower than they were in the past, so I think they're going to go up. But it'll actually give you recommendations of different companies and the different yields and growths. So you can see a whole big list as you do this, and you consider selling one of the low ones to increase for a higher one. Those are all the main facts that I saw on it, and I really like this website. It's all free. There's no paid version or premium version. Feel free to try it out. It's digrin.com. I have no affiliation with the website, but I did find it from my resources, and I really like it. So check it out. Let me know how you're doing on your dividends there. If you have any questions, let me know. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll be doing videos pretty regularly in the next few weeks. School's about to start, but should be able to at least get 1 or 2 videos a week up. Have a good one, guys.